So college football is officially in full swing. That's right. First 4 weeks of the season are in the books. That's crazy to say. We're already a third
It is crazy.
through.
Yeah.
Where does the time go? Anyways, we're back with a little bit of a different kind of spin on our usual sort of format. Going to be going a little bit longer and then, some shorter uploads. So excited to be back. Joined as always by Brandon and Drew. Fellas, how we doing?
Doing good, man. Ready to talk some ball.
Exciting weekend.
Yeah. It was an interesting slate, to say the least.
Yeah. Well, it was a big weekend for some. Not trying to
Yeah.
air your news out there, but hey.
To be wet.
Let's just say there's another ring somewhere in this triumvirate.
Not yet. We'll
by the transitive property there is.
Transitive property.
That's fair.
Yeah. That's funny.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Anyway,
back to ball.
Back to ball. That's what people are here for. We're going to start off with Dog of the Week. We're going to go around each kind of brag on a guy that we think really took over the game. Then we're going to talk some conference realignment. So should be a fun little episode. So does anyone want to go first? I'm down to go first. Or, if one of y'all want to take it, feel free.
I can go ahead and knock it out.
All right.
Just because I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce this guy's first name. Don't know ball. I think it's Kalel Mullings. Kalel.
I think it's a safe bet.
Yeah, I feel like kind of the unsung hero because I think Donovan Edwards gets a lot of the hype out of the Michigan running back room. However, Mr. Mullins here, big 2-0, had 17 carries for 159 yards. That's averaging 9.4 yards a pop, and 2 touchdowns. Now, to be fair, I'm not going to call that 9.4 inflated, but he did have a 63-yard rush and I believe a 54-yard rush. One resulted in a touchdown and one resulted in a down at the 17 where the offense got down to the 1 and then he was able to punch it in. So, I mean, honestly, huge shout out to Michigan in general, not just Mr. Mullings here. The way Michigan plays football, it's especially now, it's very team oriented on offense. And also give a shout out to the offensive line. Just constantly getting a push and open up the holes. And I'm sure if you asked Mullings or Edwards or Orgy even the same questions, they would say the exact same thing. It's all about the guys up front. Everybody doing your job.
Yeah.
So shout out to the Michigan telephone booth offense.
Yeah, they needed every single one of those yards from Mullings.
Absolutely. Yeah.
100%. 100%. I mean, you win the game by 3 points at home.
He scored the go-ahead touchdown, did he not?
I believe he did.
Yeah, I believe so.
I didn't watch the game on Saturday, but I caught the highlights. It's not a ball knower. That's just me.
Yeah.
Gotta own it. That's my brand.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a very good Dog of the Week. They needed every single yard this man Mullings had.
Yep.
You said 2 touchdowns?
Yep.
Very nice.
Yep.
Very nice. Brandon, would you like to go next?
Sure, I'll go.
All right.
It was funny. I was talking to the two of you earlier. I would have taken both of your picks for my guys. Some great stat lines. However, we move, we pivot. I'm taking it over to the SMU TCU game, and I know they're not both in the Big 12, but it was a old-fashioned Big 12 shootout, I think you could call it. 66-42.
Ooh.
And Noah's gonna touch on another shootout in his, but a lot of high-scoring basketball-esque scores this weekend almost. SMU almost hanging 70 on TCU, and my dog from that game is Brashard Smith. He's a transfer from Miami. He's more of an, I was looking into him. I hadn't heard of him before. Don't know ball. Know him now. But he's kind of more of an athlete. I think in Miami, my understanding, I haven't gone back and grinded all the tape, but he might have been more of split him out at wide receiver, put him in the backfield kind of guy. But he was a do-it-all guy this past weekend. He had 18 carries for 127 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground, and then he added another receiving touchdown. So 4 total touchdowns. So we're pushing, I think, a little over 40% of that point total for SMU in that game, which is pretty impressive output from one individual. But yeah, they got in a little bit of a shootout with TCU. I think I was looking back at their schedule. This is their first, I guess you'd call it Power 4 win since they've been promoted to this level of play. So a big win, not a conference win, but a Power 4 win nonetheless. And then another interesting tidbit that I found looking into this game was, did y'all know that there was a trophy in this game? The
Really?
TCU SMU game. It's a rivalry, and they play for a trophy.
That does make geographical sense, but that's about it.
Fort Worth.
Would you like to take a Would you like to take a guess at what the trophy is? I guarantee you would probably never guess it in a million years, but I'd love to hear some guesses if you have it.
Is it a cattle iron? I don't know.
That'd be good. No.
Cattle prod.
No, let's see. SMU, they're what, the Stallions?
They're both. They're both.
Yeah, you'd think it'd be.
They're both related.
You think it'd be something related to the teams, right?
Is it a Bible?
No.
If it were a Bible,
No, it's out of left.
A Bible would be sick.
It would be. I think that would be more fitting than this.
Kind of sacrilegious though.
No, I'll just go ahead and tell you. You're not going to guess it. They play for the Iron Skillet. It is quite literally a cast iron skillet with a plate on it that they award and they trade back and forth. And let me be clear. I'm not ragging on this. I think it is sick. I just had no idea that this existed. And I do think that this is one very underrated part of the sport is the little niche rivalry trophies that you trade back and forth. So
That's sick.
I mean,
thought it was interesting.
It does make sense. I mean, off the top of my head, they are the 2 most prominent Christian schools in the state of Texas. So it would make sense they have a rivalry.
Yeah.
Because not too long ago, TCU was not in the Big 12.
Yeah.
So
True.
I wonder how many times they did play.
It's probably like
TCU with jump.
Yeah, it's probably like a historic rivalry. You know, like 1900s kind of vibe. I'm sure they play pretty often. But
yeah, I like that. That is
sorry.
not the
The
stupidest.
1900s?
It's not the stupidest rivalry trophy out there.
no, I think we can make a whole video on that
That
when we get to
might be
rivalry season because there's a lot of interesting
Let me write
trophies
that down.
out there.
I'm gonna write
That was
Yeah. Write that down. Write that down.
that was like one of my favorite parts about like the old NCAA games. Is like you just like be scrolling, and all of a sudden it's like, oh,
Battle for the
The-
whatever.
battle for the hat. Okay, all right, cool,
Yeah.
cool.
hmm
I
Yeah, no, there's some odd ones out there.
Play for a golden egg. Like it's. Some
Which-
of these are
what
kind
is-
of out there.
What the eggs have to do with the state of Mississippi? We will never know.
Agriculture, baby. I don't
I
know.
reckon.
That's all I got.
A lot of chickens out there.
Oh man.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways,
Very nice.
Yeah.
little tangent, but
Noah, who you got?
All right, yeah. As Brandon kind of alluded to, a lot of shootouts this past weekend. This one, though, is a little bit different than the rest because it might result in a retirement. And I'm, of course, talking about Mac Brown, who is the head coach of UNC, who lost to JMU 70-50 on Saturday. Mind you,
insane.
50 points of the 70, I think it was exactly 50, were scored in the first half.
Yeah.
Imagine giving up a 50 burger at home in the first half. So
To a Sunbelt team.
To a Sunbelt team. Granted, JMU broke out onto the scene last year, but new head coach. Like they lost their head coach. Their head coach went to Indiana. So new head coach, new quarterback. At least I think. Sorry.
I'm pretty
not
sure.
a ball knower, if
I'm pretty sure a good majority of the coaching staff and the starting 22 went with him.
Yeah, that's valid.
So-
So, without further ado, my dog of the week is Alonzo Barnett III. Absolutely balled out. 22 of 34. Sorry, the quarterback of JMU. 22 of 34, 388 passing yards, 5 passing touchdowns, and then on the ground, 13 carries, 99 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So 7 total touchdowns. That is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
We almost made it through this week without giving it to a quarterback.
That's true. It's quarterback.
But like you got it. But like you
gotta
kind
give the
of
nod.
had to here. I mean,
some are saying it's a quarterback award. Dog of the week.
People are talking.
it's I've seen it.
It's a bit
I've
of
seen
a
it.
quarterback award.
I've said it. This is the first one in the last 3 weeks I haven't given it to a quarterback.
It's fair. All right, fact check here. 53 of the 70 points were scored in the first 2 quarters.
Gotcha.
They're up 50
That's
to
insane.
21 and a half.
For a minute, I thought you were going to say that 50 of the points were scored by this man. You're not that far off, though.
I mean,
49?
47 times
42?
6. He didn't kick.
That's true. He didn't kick. That'd be wild.
Kick your own extra points.
That would be sick.
Honestly, once you score the first 50,
why not?
then you start the quarterback out
try.
there to let him take the PAT. Come on, man.
Talents, you know.
Yeah. Coach, I gotta make it to the league somehow.
That's fair. Yeah, there's a niche market for that. I think who was it that was trying like that DB at kicker? It was either the Browns or the Texans. I think I don't remember who it was specifically.
I think I know what you're talking about. Like somebody's
No, it was
kicker got
Justin
injured.
Reed for the Chiefs. I think they're trying him out on kickoffs. I think I don't know. Fact check me.
I know. I think you're right. I think he's taken some PATs.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think Bucker got hurt or something.
Yeah.
I think
Kickers
that's right.
in the NFL, I'm surprised more kickers in the NFL haven't been like tested for PEDs because I'm pretty sure they're like 35 for 37 on 50-plus yard attempts so far this season, and those 2
It's
misses
insane.
by Justin Tucker.
It's wild.
Crazy turn of events.
Yeah.
The 2 were by Justin Tucker. That's
Yeah. And I mean, I think this is also kind of not bleeding over because there's not like a causation, but like college football has also gotten this way a little bit too. I think it's a lot harder to kick the 50-yard field goal in college just because the kickers aren't as good. But
yeah.
I don't know. I saw a TikTok about this the other day, and it's like pretty much passing the 50-yard line, you've got like a 75% shot of getting 3 points.
Yeah.
Which crazy.
Yeah, I mean it is crazy. I feel that way as a Falcons fan, especially after week 1, getting dinked and dunked by field goals. I mean, I feel like, the skill gap between college and professional kickers is insane because those guys, I mean, in the NFL nowadays are just automatic. I mean, they should be, but even
They're
more
robots, man. They're robots.
Yeah.
So.
Well.
Like when NCAA came out, everybody was bitching about like the kick meter and everything. No,
that's how it is, man.
How it's like more difficult in college than it is in NFL. I think it's correct.
Yeah.
In Madden, you just, it's good. And
now I'm not a Madden
college, you got a lot.
Did they adopt that kick meter as well, or did they stay on their own?
I don't know.
I didn't buy.
I haven't played Madden 25.
I would imagine they stuck with what they had, but I don't know.
I'd think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a good point, Drew. I don't know if they would do it purposefully and make it purposefully easier in the Madden games. Because I agree. Some of those college kickers they don't have much of a shot from, you try to kick a 55-yard field goal. It should be swinging back and forth.
Yeah,
super fast. And
I was playing against Eric last week, and it was a close game. I was like, listen, I got to take the points here. Little did I know, a 52-yard attempt is on the road. Are you kidding me?
Oh yeah, the stadium pulls up.
Bro, in the latest patch, they made it like.
Oh, it's tiny on PATs.
Smaller,
it is tiny.
So
depending on, I think it gets bigger as you get further away. No, it's this opposite. Because I don't know if you've played it since they've updated it. It was like last Friday. Go on and kick a PAT. I promise you, it is like a third of the size that it used to be, and it really threw me for a loop.
It's pretty wild.
Interesting.
I don't really get the update for that. I don't know. That doesn't make much sense to me.
Hard enough. Like if anything, people were complaining it was too difficult.
Honestly,
I was about to say, who's out here complaining that PATs are too easy? No one.
Too many sweats.
Go watch our streams. I've missed multiple PATs against you guys.
Dude, it's
I pissed
crazy.
On my leg
You read it out and just
once you get to a certain point, like it might just be better to go for 2.
Yeah.
Because at least you got a shot, especially if your offense is humming.
It's true.
Why not?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And anything more than a 35-yard field goal, I'm probably going for it.
That's fair.
Which is sad.
It's a video game. We go for it.
Yeah. I didn't pay $60 to kick.
Kicking simulator. Yeah.
Steelers offensive playbook unlocked.
Oh my god.
That's funny.
All right.
Oh,
are you ready to jump into some conference realignment?
Yeah, we can transition into that.
Well, I thought we were done with this for the season. Until the Pac-12 news a couple weeks ago, stealing some teams from the Mountain West. They've
been making moves.
They've been making some moves. It's been pretty crazy today. Of course, we're recording this Monday, the 23rd. Let's see. Memphis, Tulane, and USF declined offers to join the Pac-12 and will remain in the American. Also, UTSA.
Yeah. Oops, the baby.
They released a statement.
That statement was crazy.
Yeah. That was a double.
That's like a big old fuck you. We're not going. Like, that was crazy. The way that they did that.
Why would we leave?
Yeah.
The only problem is,
or we can send the audience to go read it themselves. But it's pretty.
If you want to read it, I can throw it up on the screen.
Okay. All right. We are the American Athletic Conference, a conference that prioritizes student-athlete welfare as proud academic institutions, produces fierce competition at the highest level, and has outstanding linear and direct-to-consumer national media partners. Together, we are committed to continuing to build the American brand, exploring new opportunities for exposure and value, and developing innovative economic resources, all in service of our student-athletes. While we were... Sorry. I have to beat the illiterate allegations here. Okay.
So popcorn reading.
Yep.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I'm just fucking around.
Yeah. While we acknowledge receiving interest in our institutions from other conferences, we firmly believe that it is in our individual and collective best interest to uphold our commitment to each other. Together, we will continue to modernize the conference, elevate the student-athlete experience, achieve championship-winning success, and build the future the American way. So that's from Memphis, USF, UTSA, and Tulane.
I think the biggest thing for me
there, baby.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think the biggest thing there for me is that they put out a joint statement.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that. Pretty much coming out and saying, "Hey, they're shutting that shit down on a united front." Is pretty crazy to me.
Type shit.
We do not negotiate with terrorists.
Yeah.
That's fair.
That's the exact vibe it is. It's just
go fuck yourself.
I mess with it though. Like, they're very, very adamant about it, and so, I mean, it makes sense geographically that they would not. I feel like I don't know. Go grab some teams out west, kind of reassemble some of those.
Yep.
Other teams floating around out there. I know we were talking about UNLV.
Well,
UNLV makes too much sense.
It does. Pac-12 was not done for the day, offering Air Force and UNLV, who both declined to decide to stay in the Mountain West, which, I mean, for UNLV especially, you have a chance to basically run that conference after the teams that departed last week. Boise's gone, other teams are gone. Off the top of my head, I don't remember, but made a TikTok about it, but,
Go watch it.
Go watch it. Yeah.
Go watch it. I wonder if the hesitancy from some of these teams is just like not being sold on the legitimacy of it, like all this holding up.
Right.
They don't want to jump ship, and then the same kind of thing happens where the teams that have already agreed to move to the Pac-12, the four other teams, I forget who exactly they are, that somehow falls through, and then you come crawling back to your respective conferences.
Right.
I wonder how much that plays a role in it, because none of this I don't think is necessarily like set in stone. I know there's talks, but
so UNLV has not signed and fully committed to the Mountain West. This is as of like 20, 30 minutes ago. UNLV is still considering the Pac-12, so that was a little, I guess, hasty reporting. Utah State, however, is expected to accept. So
okay.
If Utah
so
State
they have 7.
They have 7, and UNLV would make them 8. which
I,
that would be a big get.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. If I'm the Pac-12, I am sending the house as you would do in college football 25. Hard selling, even that's they need them. And they look really good right now. That could be, like Drew said, they could ascend to being a premier program in that conference within a couple of years.
Totally.
Or whoever said that.
I think Noah said that.
Whoever said that, they were correct.
But
I agree.
I just like I don't really understand what difference it makes. Like I think Noah said it earlier, is like, why would I leave the Mountain West to go play a bunch of Mountain West teams in the Pac-12 while running the risk that the Pac-12 isn't going to be able to stay on its feet, and then I'm going to have to go crawling back to the Mountain West. I feel like it's very high risk, low reward, because the Pac-12 has already lost its power conference level. There's no way the Pac-12 has the amount of funding that the Mountain West has right now, just because, I mean, 2 teams versus, what is it, 14 in the Mountain West right now? At the moment, like, there's just so much more money circulating in the Mountain West. I just don't understand. I don't truly understand why the 2 teams that are remaining in the Pac-12 don't just roll into the Mountain West and then go to the NCAA and say, hey, we are the 5th power conference under the name the Mountain 12 or something like that.
12.
Like, that's funny.
The Pac.
I don't know. The Pac Mountain, the Mountain Pac.
The Mountain Pac. Actually, that's pretty sick. I think a lot of it has to do with, I mean, obviously Washington State and Oregon State, there's some amount of loyalty to the Pac-12 still, being the last 2, like, I don't want to say charter members. I don't think they were charter members, but there's an amount of loyalty to the Conference of Champions, as they once called themselves. Yeah. I, for one, think that a lot of it boils down to media rights, which at this point, I know the Pac-12 signed like a short-term deal with the CW for a lot of the broadcasting.
That's tough.
I mean, they were forced into a corner. It was either them or Apple TV. Like,
I just don't get why you don't just merge the conferences and just.
No, it's valid. It's a valid conversation, but I just think, a lot of money.
I think if anybody, the Mountain West probably vetoed that combining of conferences at that point.
That's true.
I mean, at that point, yes, it would be combining, but my argument with the Mountain West is you're not really the Pac-12. You're 2 teams that used to be in the Pac-12, so you just come on as a part of the Mountain West. Would be my argument as the Mountain West. I wouldn't want them to I know they could be a possibility of merging and saying we're something different, but that'd be my pitch. And I just think with what Noah was saying, I think the 2 remaining members kind of have a lot of some pride left and are trying to reserve it in some kind of way.
Well, yeah, I just think like moving forward, you've kind of, unless you can pull this off to become a conference that is recognized on the power level, which you need 8 members minimum. I don't know if the quality of the members matters. But
that's a good question. Because
they're
not just going to they're not going to go back to being the Pac-12.
No.
They don't have merit. The teams aren't the teams. You're picking up group of 5 teams to reassemble.
It's not USC and
Pac-12.
UCLA in there.
So I don't think you can be back to I don't even know if people would call it. Would you call it the Power 5 again? I mean, who even knows?
No. Well, because here's the 2 problems I see with what the Pac-12 has done so far. Number 1, no offense to the Mountain West. The Mountain West has some good quality football teams, especially Boise State and they're going after UNLV. Like, they're going after the right teams in the Mountain West.
Yeah.
So number 1, you're getting the right teams, but I don't think that that's enough to get you back on the power level, because at the end of the day, they just want an automatic bid into the playoffs. That's what they're all coming in here for. That's what they all want. That's where the money is going to be coming from if they can get back to that point. I don't think that they are there yet. I don't know what that appeal process would look like. Would you go to the NCAA? Would you go to the College Football Playoff Committee, rewrite the rules? Oh, by the way, the Pac-12's back. And then the other thing is, they've kind of not. I don't know. I feel like they've kind of burnt the bridge with the Mountain West at this point, because that's the only way that Washington State and Oregon State were able to fill their schedules this year was through that partnership that they had with the Mountain West. Otherwise, they would have had to like piecemeal their schedule here and there as like pretty much two independents. I don't know. Like if they can't pull this off in the next couple of months, they kind of screwed themselves, because at the moment they have 7 teams on tape, with a potential 8th, and if they can get 8, great. But I just think that they've kind of painted themselves into a corner with their strongest, pissing off their strongest ally.
I mean, dog eat dog world. I don't know. You gotta.
Yeah. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Honestly.
Yeah, I mean,
just for survival. Like if it takes screwing, the pretty much only conference that's been there for you, like you gotta do it. Pin it into a corner, like Brandon was saying. I mean, yeah, and think of it from a Mountain West perspective. Like they're. I mean, no offense to the Mountain West, they're kind of one of the lower conferences in the G5. Like, just respectfully, I'd take the American, the Sun Belt, others over them if we're talking G5. They have a chance. They could go after some FCS schools. North Dakota State, South Dakota State. Like, are those programs willing and ready to make the jump to FBS? Who knows?
I think they're ready. I don't think they're willing.
Yeah, I mean,
I think they might be content being like powerhouses.
You're running the FCS right now. You got a dynasty cooking.
Yeah, I'm sure they're making good money too. Yeah. I mean, within their own realm. Yeah. Funding for the universities. I don't think, you move up and you start getting smacked by these other teams consistently. You may keep a couple games close, but I think if I'm North Dakota State, I love the gimmick of, not a gimmick, but kind of the way a lot of people in college football think is like they're, a D2 powerhouse, and then someone every once in a while is dumb enough to schedule them, and they either give them a really big scare or they beat them.
Yeah.
So
I think they're in a great spot. Like, how hard it is to recruit people to go to play in North and South Dakota.
Yeah.
The only selling point they have is like, hey, we understand we're Division 2, not Division 2, but we understand we're Division 1. FCS. However, we're kicking the shit out of everybody until December rolls around. Then our real season starts.
Mm-hmm.
But there's the conversation of like, does our fan base want this? And these G5 conferences, it's a step up in funding that they'll receive from the conference, depending on like payouts from postseasons and other sports and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like, those allocations are going to be a bit fatter, that'll help you in the recruiting game and the facilities game. So it really just depends on the school and their situation.
Yeah, I think,
with the amount of offensive line NFL talent that's come out of both of those schools, I'm sure their funding isn't lacking at the FCS level.
Yeah. I'm sure it would be greater in the FBS, but I think it boils down to, does that difference in funding make up for the fact that you might start losing more football games? Or not might. You would start losing more football games because of like Drew said, the talent gap of, you're convinced, and they're not doing it unsuccessfully. I mean, you've seen, like we were saying, NFL talent come out of those teams, offensive linemen. Hell, Carson Wentz came out of North Dakota State. But even then, convincing people to come to North and South Dakota, you're not getting that at the same rate as some of these other teams, and you move up and you're facing a lot better talent. So
I know, at least for me, I know I'm a bigger college football fan than a lot of other people. That's a big draw for me. Like, you tell me North Dakota State's making the jump to the Mountain West, they got a game this Thursday night, I'm tuning in. I'm sorry, I am. Like, It could go really well. It could go terribly. Like, I mean, we saw it with JMU last season. They made the jump to the Sun Belt. We're great. But
It can be done.
Who knows?
It can be done.
It can be done.
Yeah.
But
it's funny because like these two teams seem to be very happy dominating the FCS, whereas like it's like we'll call them 1 and 2, right? Without looking back at the last 10 or 20 years of like who came in first. We'll call them 1 and 2, and then you've got your Sam Houston States, you've got your JMU's, you've got your Jackson, you're not Jackson State,
Kennesaw State,
making the jump. Like it seems like 5 through 10 wants to make the jump to FBS because they're not winning as much as 1 and 2, but they also would like the funding. I didn't realize this, but I don't know. You can also try to be smart about this. But I didn't realize that last year Sam Houston redshirted like 3/4 of their roster.
Damn, really?
So they can like
build,
play, so they can play.
That's a smart move.
Because the first 2 years of being in the FBS really don't count.
Well, yeah, you're postseason ineligible, right?
Which is
this is the stupidest rule in the sport, I think.
It's the largest lack of an incentive to make the jump up to a higher level of competition I have ever seen.
I just remember the outcry for like the general, like even casual college football fans after watching JMU last year. Like they were ranked in the AP poll or got serious consideration to be ranked, but couldn't play in a bowl game. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
They couldn't play in their conference championship game.
Yeah. That's even more egregious. I forget the bowl game. Sorry, I even said that. Yeah. That's even more egregious.
Yeah.
I just have such a loose understanding of that rule, and it is to be that it's to like make sure you're ready to move up to that level. But I think it's punishment enough if you're not ready to move up to that level, just getting smacked around by the team, like by other teams, and like potentially going winless.
Totally.
Yeah.
If you have a good season, why are you being punished? Good for you. You had a great season. The first season you moved up to this level. You should not be punished for that.
Yeah. I mean, North Dakota State makes the jump up to, let's just say, the Mountain West right now. Boom. They are winning at least 8 games.
Yeah.
Most likely. I mean,
I think they finished second or third in that conference, honestly.
Yeah. The only reason they lost to Colorado because they didn't have Travis Hunter on their team.
We'll go fourth. UNLV and Boise are good.
Yes. If you put them on the Mountain West team, when does that Pac-12 movement take place? Is that next season?
26,
Boise?
I want to say. Like, they have to have 8 by the end of their current deal, I think is at the end of 25.
Yeah, I think it's 26. I think I saw.
Yeah.
Late 25, 26.
Well, if as those guys are moving out, let's just say hypothetically, these top-tier FCS schools join the Mountain West, especially North Dakota State. Yeah, there's a real possibility they might win that conference.
Totally.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. In my mind, I think the Mountain West, before all this shenanigans took place, they were probably like my third, if I had to put a power rating on the group of 5 teams. They were probably my third conference because it probably, depending on the year, it's either the American or the Sun Belt at 1 and 2, and then Mountain West, and then the MAC is next. Probably the MAC, and then Coosa would be at the bottom.
Yeah. Hey, shout out to the American, man. The American's kind of a wagon this season. A lot of good teams.
They're nice.
They're deep. They are deep. I mean, Memphis losing to fucking
the Army.
Army, Navy,
Navy?
whatever.
I don't know. I know Army's got like a 6% chance to make the playoff right now.
I think it was Army because Navy beat.
Hold on, let me search. I know I sent you a text about it.
Yeah. But anyway, Memphis losing that game definitely. Thank you. That they were, if y'all have been a fan for a while, they were my very, very, very long shot to not only make the playoff but to win a playoff game.
Brother, that was your bold prediction. You said Memphis, G5 team will win a playoff game, and it will be Memphis.
Hey, the first part is still alive.
That's fair. I think Boise can do it, man.
Boise could do it. I don't think
They damn
Liberty
near-
can.
Yeah, they stuck with Oregon.
Yeah, Liberty could do it. Not Liberty. UNLV could do it.
Mm.
Hypothetically.
All right.
I
Well,
mean,
anything else on conference realignment? I think this has been fucking awesome.
No,
we
it was a
can
good
go if y'all
conversation.
want. This is a really good conversation, though.
Yeah.
I, for one, did not wake up this morning and expect to talk about FCS football, but
No.
I had a great time doing it.
absolutely. No, that's good. I'm good to move on to the next.
I'm looking. You got Oak State, Kansas State. That's a fucking weird one. Louisville, Notre Dame,
Embarrassed.
Illinois, Penn State.
Fighting Illini.
That's really it.
Illinois, Penn State.
As far as ranked on ranked go.
Yeah, I mean, Kentucky, Ole Miss could be.
Is that in the Krog?
No, that is in the Grove.
I would very much like Kentucky to make that a game.
17.5 for the low price of however much you're willing to gamble.
That could be a lock this week.
Calling it right now.
That's risky though. They're going into Oxford. Oxford. I don't know if I'd like that, man. They might get. Georgia's offense looked terrible,
rough.
and Ole Miss's identity is offense. So.
Yeah, I'm just saying, Ole Miss has had some monster lines through the first 4 weeks of the season. They have covered every single game.
Yeah, I don't know about that. If it was in Lexington, still maybe not, but
The Krog.
a better chance. The Krog.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know if that applies to other teams, because a lot of teams like South Carolina went in there and took care of them. It's just every time Georgia plays at Kroger Field, they have a tendency to shit the bed.
Yeah.
Like this year was what it was. I remember last time we went to Kroger Field, it was a couple years ago. It was freezing. Kirby said it was the coldest game he had ever been at, and it was with they had Will Levis, and it was 16-6 or something.
Yeah, it was ugly. I remember because I was at the Georgia Southern game visiting my sister, and they were playing at the same time. So she was getting mad at me because I'm wearing Georgia Southern shit, and I'm cheering at all the wrong times because our defense is getting stopped. Meanwhile, Georgia Southern's getting scored on. You are embarrassing me. I was like, listen, I love you.
I have other interests.
Yeah, I'll respect the Eagles down here, but I have one true love, and she's about 2.5 hours north in Athens. So
yeah, it's valid.
That's
Can we
valid.
talk about how Nebraska just laid a fucking goose egg this past weekend?
Hey, shout out. They played Illinois, right? That was.
Shout out Illinois.
Shout out Illinois.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to do a quick recap on that.
Yeah, a quick one. Just because I feel like Nebraska had everything going for it this season. They
really did.
The marquee matchup against Colorado. I mean, that was big, and they were on their way to being in the driver's seat in the Big Ten. I understand that probably would come to a screeching halt at some point. But I mean, they don't play Ohio State until the end of October, and then they play USC November 16th. So I mean, I don't know. They just they just pretty much, unless they win both those games, they took away any shot they had of making the Big Ten championship game. In my mind,
could sneak in as an at-large. I mean, if they knock off USC, I don't know if the strength of schedule is really there.
I don't think it.
Lost Nebraska. Next year.
They remind me of kind of an Iowa this year. I know Iowa hasn't played. I'm trying to look at Iowa's record. This is their
also
third.
Iowa. The over is hit in every Iowa game so far this year.
That's wild.
I mean, to be fair, the over-under has been 34.5, but over's over. All right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Leaps and bounds.
Mm-hmm. No, I like Bill Ball. I was happy for him as well. I think their matchup against Penn State this weekend is really interesting. Going into Happy Valley.
Mm-hmm.
I think they got a shot.
Also, huge shout out to Indiana. I can't remember the name of the head coach at the moment. I believe he was the head coach at Rutgers. JMU.
Yeah. It was JMU.
I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. I had Rutgers on the brain for some reason. What was I saying? Oh yeah, put money on them as a huge favorite. I think they were like 28.5-point favorites this past weekend. They beat the shit out of Charlotte, so that worked out. But yeah, speaking of the Big Ten, Wisconsin USC in California.
I think USC mollywops them.
Just still
Wisconsin's banged up.
Van Dyke's out for the season, right?
Yeah, that's a tough blow.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the Alabama game, he got. I think it was his knee.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Just...
it was a tough watch.
Literally, the only hope that Wisconsin has is to just grind this clock out, right? And that's even to cover. I mean, the spread's 14 or 15 and a half.
Yeah,
it's tough.
Yeah, we can just keep rolling with preview content. If there's any other games you want to touch base on real quick, I think one interesting one is Louisville Notre Dame, because I think Notre Dame could easily lose that game, but it depends on what version of Notre Dame shows up.
Sure.
And then I think Louisville. There's been a lot of backdoor hype for Louisville. They're undefeated. They're number 15 in the nation.
They're number 15. Damn.
Yeah.
That's not funny.
Yep.
Yeah, this is they're ranked higher than Notre Dame. This is 15 versus 16 matchup.
What time is this?
That would be at on Peacock.
Yep, on the cock. It's just crazy to me because I feel like Louisville always sneaks up on me.
They do. For the past few years, they've been one of those sneaky good ACC teams. There's like Louisville's ranked, know, and then you go and look, and it's like, well, yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean they are undefeated.
And
we are
have lost a game.
Yeah, so I mean,
they get the benefit. Yeah, I mean they get the benefit of playing in the ACC, but still, nonetheless, I think they've been playing well, and good for them for taking advantage of the ACC so far.
Yeah,
I think it's been on Miami and Clemson, so it would be interesting to see if they can pull this off. People may start taking them more seriously in that ACC race.
Yeah. I think it's definitely clearly cut, though, Miami Clemson. I don't think there's anything invalid about that. Miami has looked very, very good, and Cam Ward is a Heisman candidate. And then since Clemson got beat by Georgia, they've just gone on a heater and have looked unstoppable.
Yeah, I don't know what Dabo did. I don't know what conversation him and God had, but damn. They've been on fire. It
must have been a great conversation because Cade Klubnik has been a man on fire.
Man has been Trevor Lawrence reincarnated.
Yeah, and I think it was funny that all the discourse after the George game. Oh, Clemson's done this and that. Dabo can't do anything without a quarterback that isn't a generational talent. And then, I mean, obviously they're not all the way back, but they're definitely firmly back in the. Well, I don't know if they were ever out of the playoff conversation, but the ACC conversation.
Yeah.
With their remaining schedule, I don't know exactly what it is, but they're not playing very many powerhouses in that conference.
I mean, you want to talk about dominance over a conference over a 10 to 15 year stretch. Clemson's up there.
Yeah.
I understand it's not the strongest conference in the country, but
still, Power 5 conference.
I mean, it's a Power 5 conference. There, at any given year, 12 to 16 other teams all vying for a spot in the conference championship game come December. I mean, it's impressive. You with all of Dabo's faults, you've got to give him some credit there.
Yeah.
It's valid.
Looking at other games that might be of note, I mean, TCU, Kansas, if you want another barn burner. Colorado, UCF.
I haven't watched much of Kansas. I feel like I thought they were going to be better this season than they have been so far. I was a big Jalen Daniels proponent.
Apparently, the offensive coordinator position is important.
Yeah.
Some are saying.
So I've heard.
They're talking. Yeah. Valid.
Yeah, I mean, in case you don't want to watch the shit games at 3:30, you could watch the big ones in the Group of 5 land: Liberty and App State, Fresno State, UNLV, San Diego State, Central Michigan, Georgia Southern, Georgia State, little in-state rivalry there.
You know, those are the big games. Other than the biggest game of the week, Georgia
Illinois and Penn State.
rolls. Yeah. That is the marquee matchup in Happy Valley.
They do play at 7:30.
That's funny. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
So pick and choose, if you will. If you don't want to watch that game at 7:30, there's another game that you might want to watch that's on at 7:30. The Dogs roll into Tuscaloosa to face the Tide. Historically, you know, huge game whenever it's been played in season, SEC championship, national championship, whatever stage it's on. You know it's going to be a hell of a game. And just to be upfront and clear, if you're new here, you haven't got the memo, our other videos, we're all UGA fans, all graduated from the institution. But I think we can keep this a little unbiased because I think we're all kind of in like a
shitting ourselves.
Yes.
Kind of. Yeah. I don't know how.
And I feel like that's out of respect for the Alabama, what they've done and who they are. And I feel like, you know, that's probably mutual on their part. I mean, this is a battle of the Titans in college football.
Yep.
Right? So it's going to be huge.
I mean, the spread's 1.5 for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to get down to a pick 'em, I think. There's no way.
I agree.
It opened
I
at
agree.
2.5, 2?
Yeah, it opened at 2.5 and it has fallen to 1.5 as the week has gone on, and it's only Tuesday.
Oof.
No, it's only Monday.
And take this how you will. I know ESPN analytics and the FPI is not the most accurate thing all the time, but currently Alabama sits at a 65.6% chance to win this game. In opposition to Vegas and the current betting odds of that game. So I think I agree. I think it'll walk down to a pick 'em at game time. And we're just best on best. We're going to see who gets after it, man. I mean, absolutely. I think that's what it boils down to.
The only thing that makes me feel good about this game is that Nick Saban is not on the other sideline. I feel like that's the easy thing to say here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, DeBear, I always mess his name up. Kalen. He's no slouch. I mean, the guy's been a proven winner wherever he's gone. I mean, he took Washington to the playoff last year, made Michael Penix a Heisman finalist. But he's not Saban, but still, with that all being the fact of the matter, I mean, it's in Bryant-Denny. There's still Alabama. I mean, and he's going to coach his ass off because this has been like the one marquee game of the season to prove, hey, I know I'm not Saban, but I'm not a bitch. So,
yeah,
you know,
that is one thing. This is by far and away the biggest game of his entire coaching career up until this point.
Yes.
Bigger, I mean,
probably bigger.
I mean, it rivals the playoffs,
yeah.
And that they played in last year. I mean, obviously he's had big moments, but this is one of the biggest moments. I mean, you want to talk about proving yourself. I mean, he has proven himself heavily with Washington, but if you're going to come down to the SEC and take over for the GOAT, I mean, that is absolutely massive for him. I
slightly disagree with you. I would argue there's more pressure on Kirby in this situation than there is on Kalen.
I think I'm not saying there's more pressure on him than Kirby. I'm just saying up until this point, this is about as much pressure as Kalen DeBoer has felt in his coaching career.
Okay.
If we want to touch on the Georgia side, if you're Kirby Smart and you go out there and you lose to Alabama without Nick Saban, it's not good.
It's a tough
one. I'm gonna be straight up with you. They've been the elephant in the room, the Tide, and figuratively and literally on Kirby's resume. That's nearly spotless. That is the stain on the resume. Like most of his losses are against Alabama.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, this is a proven
3 and 2 of them against Bama or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I mean, if you're him, this is an exercising of the demons. Like this is a passing of the torch.
Yep.
Saban's gone. You're the man now. And
this is a ding dong, the witch is dead. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to take over.
I have a old head. I have an Unk reference here. for those of you out there who have seen the movie Megamind, this is the movie, or this is the part where Kirby, like, you know, the townsfolk are like, "Oh, you've saved us," and then he just goes, "More like under new management." That's the type of game that we're going for here for Georgia and Kirby Smart. So I'll take my boomer reference and fuck off now, but you know, had to
That's
so
funny.
you're the punk I've been hearing about.
Yeah, pretty much.
That would insinuate that Nick Saban would come out of retirement and go to like Florida or something like that. Which please
Don't
God,
even
don't
put
let
that out
happen.
there, brother.
Please God, don't let that happen.
That would be.
Don't even.
Oh.
All right, now I've got a pit in my stomach.
It's only
honestly,
Monday night.
I don't. Yeah, honestly, I don't even want to give predictions for this.
No.
I don't want to put it out there in the air. I don't think it needs to be. I think this is more of like a vibes preview. You can go to anybody else if you're actually trying to bet on this game or get sound advice for spread or money line. That's somewhere else. I think this game is just vibes for us. I mean, as a college football fan, what more can you ask for in a regular season matchup?
Yep.
Not much.
I mean, I think the one thing we can get into here is what are y'all's thoughts on betting on your own team?
I do not participate.
Yes, I did it one time against Missouri 2 seasons ago, and I've not done it since. However, there are people out there that I know have placed bets on this game, and to be fair,
it's just double the loss, man. I mean, I know it's double the win. It's double the win. It's high upside, but
it's double the loss.
Yeah.
What
about
totals?
Too much risk.
What about totals?
So
I just don't even want to touch on that when I'm watching my team. You know, it's like, oh, I want to win, but I also want to score more. I just want to win. It distracts me. Go for it.
So, like you said, Drew, 2022 Missouri, that broke me. I'm not betting any Georgia spread ever again. So I figured entering the 2020, I guess it would be the 2023 SEC Championship. Over-under looked enticing in the SEC title game. So I took the over. Not only did I lose, but my team also lost. So, like, I'm swearing it all off. Like, not doing any of it. So, that's where I'm at. I'm off.
It's bad enough losing a bet straight up.
Not even anytime touchdown anymore. I'm out.
Yeah. So are we also off of futures?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I agree. I do not like, no, zero, zilch, nada. But I'm just seeing if y'all had a different line. Because I could see, like, betting on the total being, like, less taboo. And then player props, I could see that too. But, I don't know. I just feel like it's bad juju.
Yeah, we'd love to hear some other opinions in the comments. If you are an advocate for this, let us know. I haven't run into many people that are. The old adage, you don't shit where you eat.
Right.
I feel like is very applicable here. It's too much risk for me. It's double the loss. I just can't stomach it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like I said earlier, like, I would have taken Kentucky to cover, but
I would have too. I wouldn't have said that we were going to win by 1 point, but I could have told you that historically in those games like that, Kirby Smart's Georgia football team does not give a shit about covering. If they're playing at a certain level and they're winning by maybe a couple scores, even you want to just get out of there and not show anything else.
Yeah.
Not show your hand, stay healthy, get out of there. They don't give a shit about covering, so it's tough to bet on things like that when as a fan, it really, I think, just boils down to getting the win.
Yeah. Yep. I completely agree. So.
No notes. 10 out of 10.
Cool.
Anyways, I think that's nice. I think it's a good place to end it for this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. So, I mean, I got a bedtime coming up, so
yeah, me
work
too.
out.
Yeah.
I have a dog to take out.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I guess I can just wrap it up quickly. If you like, this sort of content, we're trying something new format. Babe, wake up, new format just dropped. Anyway, if you like what you saw, if you like college football, feel free to drop a like, subscribe. We are trying like hell to stay consistent and upload all throughout the season. Yeah, last week kind of got off of it, but we're back with some new ideas, keep things fresh this week. So we very much appreciate the support. that being said, go Dogs. And we'll see you in the next one.